So when you're making plans to meet this person for the first time and go on a date, and they actually want you to come out to their neighborhood, that is your first clue that you will have to cater to this person first. Their needs will come first, you will come second. Who knows? You might come third, fourth, or fifth. Don't know if that person has kids, maybe as a mama's boy or daddy's girl. Just saying, if that's what they're asking you to do, they're asking you to accommodate their life and they're not looking to accommodate yours. And the second thing that you need to realize is they're behaving as if they're the prize and not you. If you're a woman though, don't forget, you're the prize, not the guy. You're the prize, not the guy. You're the prize, not the guy.
You want to know what really disgusts me? Is women who insult men by saying that they have mummy issues.
Mama's boy, mama's boy, mama's boy.
When I hear a woman belittling a man, making fun of him, saying that he has mummy issues, using that to dismiss his emotions, to criticize his choices, or just to shame him, I am so repulsed by her behavior. And I'm also reminded of how important this work is, encouraging women to see men as fellow humans, worthy of respect and compassion and dignity. These cultural attitudes that encourage women to insult men because, who cares, they're just men, those attitudes are incredibly sexist and dehumanizing. What if he does have mummy issues? This man that she's getting some kind of sick pleasure out of insulting. What if his mum was a drug addict and she abused him? What if she neglected him and he never got enough love that was appropriate to his emotional development needs as a child? What if she blamed him for all the men who mistreated her in the past because he's a boy, and so he internalizes that blame and hates his own masculinity? What if she develops an inappropriate relationship with him and he develops surrogate spouse syndrome? All of those circumstances could come under the banner of mummy issues, but what kind of a sick person thinks that that is something to ridicule somebody about? If he was abused by his mother and has mummy issues, then the appropriate response is compassion and empathy, not insults and dismissing his emotions. Honestly, I'm not exaggerating here. Sometimes women's lack of capacity for emotional empathy for what men go through, it scares me. Like, it genuinely scares me. It's this unnerving feeling I get when you see women say things to men that show how little they see men as beings equal to themselves in terms of their humanity. It's chilling. For one thing, women have no idea what men go through with their mothers in their teenage years. Zero clue. Why? Because they never ask. Don't believe me? Test it. Test this for yourself. After you watch this video, go and ask your girlfriend or any woman in your life what they imagine the experience is like for boys who need to grow into their masculine identity while being raised by a feminine caregiver. Ask her what she thinks that experience was like. Now, unless she is an exceptionally high-quality woman with a well-developed empathy for men, she'll have no idea, because in order to know the answer to that question, she will have needed to actually sit down with a man, ask him questions, and listen to his experiences, right? She can't just guess. She can't borrow from her own life story because there is no equivalent experience. This is not something that women have to go through. A boy's identity issues relating to his mother, there's nothing like that in a woman's development. As a little girl, say as like a 5-year-old girl, she's already feminine. And luckily for her, the dominant parent in her life is also feminine. So when she's drawing unicorns and dressing like a princess and having tea parties, her mother supports that. And as she grows through her teenage years, her mother will continue to support and nurture her femininity. If she's a good mother, then the mother-daughter bond will become strengthened over the years. They'll get closer every year. They'll have more things to bond over. She'll feel like she's part of this shared sisterhood. This is one of those unique female privileges in that her development of a feminine identity is a straight line. There's no interruptions, there's no U-turns, but that is not the case for boys, okay? Developing your masculine identity is way harder. It requires way more work than the girls have to put in. For a boy, their masculine development does start early, even before school age. While his sister's playing with dolls, he's playing with trucks and army men. He's more interested in wrestling and, running around and scraping his knees than having a tea party. So he's already masculine in a sense, but he still lives within the feminine paradigm of his mother because, as is most often the case, the mother is the primary caregiver. And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. I'm not criticizing this, living in that feminine paradigm. That's a good thing for little ones. That's good for little boys. It's how it should be. It's still appropriate for the emotional development of a young boy that he is around his mother. And he needs that calm, kind, nurturing energy when he's upset. He needs to be able to go to his mother for comfort, for emotional regulation, for protection. All of that is good and normal and natural. But this begins to change in puberty when his hormones signal that he is ready to start making that transition from boy to man. At that point, he needs to begin establishing his independence. He needs to claim his own masculine identity, and that means breaking with his mother. So few mothers handle this developmental stage appropriately. So few get it right. You listening to this now, I wonder, how did your mother adapt to you becoming a man and by necessity pushing her away to make that separation between who you are now and the boy that you used to be? Some mothers unfortunately take it personally and then they overparent or they reject the boy because her feelings are hurt. What a disaster. It is so harmful to a boy's development when their mothers take this stage of their growth personally and they make it about them. Mothers need to separate their own emotional needs from what is right for their boys because, what do they really want for him when he's a teenager, when he's an adult man? Do they still want him to come to her with his hurts and his boo-boos and his complaints like he did when he was 8 years old? No, he needs to grow. And that means explicitly breaking free from the mother's feminine paradigm that he used to live in and then claiming his own masculinity. Yes, you could say that he is rejecting his mother, and in one sense, I suppose that's true, but it's not personal. It's never personal. It's not about her. It's about him. He needs to do it in order to become who he truly is. But this process of separating from your mother and becoming an independent man, that's not easy, right? That safety and protection and comfort that he enjoyed for the first 12 years of his life, that feminine safety blanket, that was nice. That was comfortable and snug and familiar and warm. And his sister, she gets to stay there. Lucky her. That's one of the privileges of being a girl. The boy, on the other hand, he has to cast off that blanket and go out into the cold. Now, ancient tribal societies would actually have rituals for this sort of thing. They'd have these rites of passage that the young boys would go through. The boy would be left in the wilderness and he'd be tasked with completing like a vision quest, something like that, or he'd have to pass these tests while he's out hunting with the men of the tribe. There would be some event, that would actually mark this shift from the feminine to the masculine. That's where he exists after puberty. He's no longer a boy, he's a man. And his value is now being judged by a masculine value system. That's how it should be. It doesn't mean that he has no need for his mother anymore. It's just that her help now needs to come on his terms. If she gives him the space to figure this out, then he will become a responsible, capable, masculine man, which is what every mother should want for her boy. But women don't understand or empathize with how difficult this process is for boys, to how confusing it is to boys to, on one level, to love your mother so deeply, but on another level, to know that you need to reject her and that you need to leave the safety of her world, her paradigm, in order to create your own. That's the price that you pay for a masculine identity. Women's feminine identity, that's free. They didn't have to do or sacrifice anything for it. You've probably heard that saying, women are born, men are made. That's true. You want to be a man, you have to earn it. So many boys in this culture have not done this properly. They're still feminized little boys, or they've overcompensated and they've become insufferable alpha macho dudes with no sense of genuine masculine responsibility. And neither extreme is good for dating. Neither is good for attracting a high quality woman, because women want a genuinely healthy masculinity in their partner. Honestly, when I look at the struggles that men come to me with, the issues, the problems that they need advice about, through Patreon or through my Hey Hero request, it honestly seems like 90% of the time it's some variation of them struggling because their masculinity was not properly developed. It's my hope that even if it was just your desire to get a girlfriend that originally led you to this channel, hopefully in watching the content that I create, you have realized that the task here is much bigger than that. It's not just about getting laid. It's not just about getting a girlfriend. It's about claiming your masculinity. It's about becoming your best self, creating an authentic identity that is yours and yours alone, something that you can be proud of, not for the sake of some woman and pleasing her, but for yourself. That's what we're doing here on this channel, and I'm so glad that you're here to join me for it. Some aspects of dating and relationships are just awkward. They are. Like if you meet a blind date, how do you break the ice? What are the first couple of minutes going to look like? Or what if on the date you say something stupid? How are you meant to recover from that? What are you meant to do if you do something that's really awkward? Well, I have some advice, I have some tips and strategies, and this is the topic of my latest Patreon video. So if you want to see that, then please go and sign up on my Patreon. It's just a $5 a month subscription. You get instant access to that video, plus every other exclusive video I've ever made. It's tremendous value, just $5. It's a great way of supporting the creator. We have an amazing community, great discussions. I'd love to see you over there so you can be a part of it.